So, have you looked at the news lately and just felt like, man, the world is spinning completely out of control? Like things are breaking down way faster than we can even fix them? It's really easy to feel like we're just trapped in this endless dark age. But what if this chaos isn't actually the end of the world? What if instead we're seeing the undeniable, crazy clear signs of a massive cosmic transition? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into ancient texts, real astronomical data, and some absolutely fascinating recent events to figure out exactly where humanity stands in the grand cycle of time.
Okay, so to make sense of all the chaos we're seeing right now, we first got to look at the traditional and, let's be honest, pretty grim view of the era we're supposedly living in, the Kali Yuga. In ancient Hindu cosmology, the Kali Yuga is known as this iron age of absolute darkness. It's an era defined by just severe, across-the-board physical and moral decay. The ancient texts describe a time where rulers become totally corrupt and unreasonable, virtue basically drops to zero, and humanity just gets completely consumed by greed, anger, and lethargy. The mythology paints this super vivid picture of a time when the world's soul literally turns black, and all living creatures just degenerate.
And if you go by the mainstream interpretations of these ancient texts, well, the forecast is incredibly bleak. According to the standard calculations, the Kali Yuga cycle is supposed to last for a staggering 432,000 years. Traditional believers even look out for really specific localized omens to track this. Take the famous Jagannath temple in India, for example. When stones fall from the temple or there are unexpected changes to the holy flag, people interpret those as signs that this massive 432,000-year countdown to total darkness is marching on. And since scholars generally say this period started around 3102 BCE, that means, yeah, we supposedly still have about 427,000 years of this darkness left to endure. If that's true, we are literally just scratching the surface of an endless dark age. But hold on, because there is a massive plot twist here, and it was uncovered by scholars like Sri Yukteswar. When you actually compare these traditional ancient texts to modern astronomical reality, a glaring math error pops right up. It turns out many ancient translators artificially inflated the timeline. Basically, they took the actual cycle of 1,200 human years and multiplied it by 360 to convert them into divine years, just to make the numbers sound way more epic and magnificent. But when you strip away that multiplication factor, that endless, hopeless dark age suddenly shrinks down into a much shorter, very finite cycle. Section 1. Cycles of the Cosmos. To really wrap our heads around this and ground these ancient esoteric texts in tangible science, we have to look at the precession of the equinoxes. See, our planet doesn't just go through daily and yearly cycles. We're actually participating in these massive, overarching cosmic rhythms that are driven by our entire solar system's movement through the galaxy. So the really crucial takeaway here is that the true Yuga cycle does not last for millions of years. It lasts exactly 24,000 years. And it's a dual cycle. You get 12,000 years of ascending virtue and intelligence, followed by 12,000 years of descending virtue. According to yogic astronomy, our whole solar system is actually orbiting a much larger star, a supersun. When our orbit brings us closer to the supersun, human consciousness, our intelligence, and our connection to the universe naturally rise. And when we move away, our consciousness plummets back into the dense, super-materialistic state of the Kali Yuga. The visionary Sadhguru actually explains this perfectly by talking about something called the ether. He points out that during the depths of the Kali Yuga, because we're so incredibly far away from that supersun, the etheric sphere of our planet is just super low. And because it's so low, we basically lose our natural intuition. We end up having to rely entirely on clumsy spoken words to try and understand each other. And we have to lean heavily on simple devotion because, frankly, higher spiritual concepts just go right over our heads. But as we finally start moving closer to the supersun again, that ether rises and our deep intuitive abilities actually start coming back online. And this brings us to literally the best news you're going to hear all day. We are not descending further into the darkness. Actually, we hit rock bottom centuries ago. Right now, we are officially in an ascending cycle. We're actively moving up through the ascending Kali Yuga and heading straight toward the Dwapara Yuga, which is this Bronze Age of expanding human intellect and awakening cosmic consciousness. So we aren't trapped at all, we are climbing. And this upward climb is the necessary path that eventually leads humanity all the way back to the ultimate golden age known as the Satya Yuga. Section 2. 2025 and the transition. So if we're in this ascending phase, when does this specific cycle actually end? Like, what does the hard data say? Take a look at this timeline. It's derived from the ancient Saptardi Shi calendar, which is a system they've used in India for thousands of years to track the yugas. It maps out our historic descent from the last golden age, which started way back around 9,976 BCE. And as we follow the math of those 12,000-year half-cycles, it precisely pinpoints the end of the ascending Kali Yuga, right to the year 2025 CE. That means we are hitting a massive, massive pivot point for humanity right now. Now, an entire era doesn't just wrap up neatly overnight. Whenever a yuga shifts, we have to go through a roughly 300-year transitional period. The ancient Greeks actually had a very specific word for this phase, ekpyrosis. It translates to an extended period where the world is literally cleansed and purified by fire as all the old, dense, outdated structures collapse to make way for the new ones. It is a time of profound and honestly pretty chaotic environmental and societal upheaval. And are we seeing signs of this ekpyrosis today? Absolutely we are. We're witnessing undeniable terrestrial omens right before our eyes. Just look at the devastating wildfires that ravaged Los Angeles in early 2025, a really stark, literal warning of this cleansing by fire. We've had massive, totally off-season fires in Japan and the Carolinas, not to mention freak, almost apocalyptic flooding right in the middle of the Sahara Desert. But it's not just the weather. We are also seeing the exact mythological signs ancient texts foretold. They talked about specific animal signs heralding the transition, and incredibly, in June of 2024, a rare white bison calf was born in Yellowstone. That fulfilled the ancient Sioux prophecy of the white buffalo calf woman, which similarly signifies that the world is on the absolute brink of purification and a massive cycle shift. Basically, the Earth itself is screaming at us that the transition is here. Section 3. Cosmic Harbingers. But listen, this transition isn't just happening down here on the round. We have to look up. The energetic shift deriving our evolution is literally coming from deep space. Our galaxy is waking up. Astronomers using the James Webb Space Telescope recently confirmed something absolutely mind-blowing. Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole right at the center of our Milky Way, has actually shifted out of hibernation. It is actively entering an energetic phase, blasting out these dynamic flares of light. This isn't just some distant, pretty light show. It's literally the heartbeat of our galaxy shifting into a much higher gear. This active phase turns the center of our galaxy into what's called an active galactic nucleus. Now, I want to completely demesmerize you from any anxiety you might feel about this, okay? This cosmic radiation is not a threat to us. In fact, the Vedic worldview sees this central galactic energy as the ultimate regulator of consciousness. Going back to the mythology, this profound energetic shift and cleansing is actually personified by the birth and the divine role of Lord Kalki. He's the final avatar who arrives specifically to destroy the filth of the old world, restore righteousness, and act as the ultimate catalyst for the return of the Golden Age, the Satya Yuga. So as this profound energy washes over our solar system, it acts as that exact same catalyst. It's expected to alleviate our dense stress, clear out our depression, boost our intuition, and potentially trigger literal genetic and cognitive evolution in humanity over the coming centuries. It's a real game changer. And right alongside this massive galactic awakening, our own solar system is sending us some very targeted wake-up calls. Think about the recent public panic over asteroid 2024 YR4, or the fact that we're heading straight into the dense Taurid meteor swarm in the early 2030s. The sudden reactivation of these dormant comets and the really close approaches of these space rocks, they aren't meant to destroy us. They're serving as psychological, celestial warnings. They're urging humanity to drop our materialistic obsessions and realign with our true spiritual purpose before it's too late. Which brings us to a highly, highly significant date on this cosmic clock, 2036. This is the exact year the asteroid Apophis is going to make an incredibly close, highly visible approach to Earth. Think of Apophis as a literal prophetic clock, ticking loudly toward the absolute climax of Earth's transitional period. It aligns perfectly with the ongoing collapse of the old Kali Yuga structures and all that intense polarization we are seeing globally right now. It is basically the universe's deadline for humanity to finally choose its path forward. So, the ultimate question for every single one of us as we stand right in the middle of this massive transition is simply this. Will you cling to the dense, materialistic, fearful energies of a dying Kali Yuga, or will you actively align your consciousness with the profound, ascending shift of a brand new cosmic era? Remember, the collapse of these old global structures, the intense weather, the celestial omens, none of this is a sign of the end. These are the birth pangs of a spiritually ascended reality. It's time to wake up, look inward, and decide. Are you going to ride the wave of the cosmos or be swept away by it?